Now this is day 16 of my Covid-19 holiday away from everyone else. As you know, I've been making these little video journals periodically, and the background, for those of you who don't know me that well or haven't seen any of my other videos, I had a stem cell transplant about a year ago, just over a year ago. I had chemotherapy for about 6 months before that, and so as a result of that, for the last 18 months I've been told to social distance anyway, apart from they didn't call it that. They just said keep away from public places, you know, keep away from shops, don't go into offices, don't go into cinemas, restaurants, hotels, public transport, anything like that, anything where there's a lot of people, stay away from them. So I've been doing that for 18 months. And as the coronavirus pandemic kept getting worse and worse, my family were getting more and more concerned for me. I mean, 6 months ago, back in the summer last year, I came down with an infection because of my weak immune system, and went into hospital, and I was in and out of hospital then for about 3 months. I think I was in there a total of about 7 weeks in that 3-month period. So that's how easily I can catch an infection and have to go into hospital and get looked after very closely. And of course the coronavirus is even worse than those normal infections that I could get from other people. It's more infectious and it's a bit more dangerous too. So, you know, if I picked up that infection, if I was exposed to it, it's very likely that I would come down with it, and it's very likely that I would go into hospital. In fact, it's guaranteed I would go into hospital, and I would be in danger of needing intensive care, etc., etc. So, valid worries, really. And so even before the government told me I was part of that shielding group, my family, my wife and my kids decided that I needed to separate myself off because they were worried that they might give me something. I mean, three of the people who live in my house work in supermarkets and other food retailers, and obviously they've been really busy talking to a lot of people, coming across a lot of people, touching things that other people have touched, and who knows what they were bringing home. So they were worried about me, so I ended up coming to stay in my nephew's flat, away from everyone else. The only person I see is my sister, who leaves the food on the doorstep every few days, and that's my way of life for the next 3 months. So day 16, only another 75 to go. But I don't dwell on it. It's pointless dwelling on how much I miss people, because the only thing that's going to change is my frame of mind, and my frame of mind is quite important at the moment. So I tend to try and do things to take my mind off it. But you know what? It's difficult day after day, and I have said this before. And on day 16, I can tell you, putting the camera and the tripod in front of me was a real effort. Not physically, physically it's fine, it's not difficult, it's not challenging. It's the mental block. It's, why am I doing this? What have I got to say? I don't know what I'm going to say. No one's going to listen to me anyway. Nobody cares. But then I remind myself why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to because I think that my homespun wisdom or my case is any more remarkable than anybody else or anything like that. I'm doing it to I guess you could say pass the time, but in reality it's useful as well. It gives me practice doing these videos, which is really useful for the business that I'm trying to set up and get going in online training. It gives me practice talking to the camera and trying not to waffle too much. Fail, you might say. Okay, again, I'll try and do better next time, and stuff like that. So The other thing is I've learned to analyse the way that I feel. And I analysed my down feelings earlier and thought, no, I've just got to do it. And so I made my legs get into a standing position. I made myself walk around to the camera bag and get stuff out and set stuff up. And I sat down and I pressed record and started talking. And look at me, I'm smiling. What more can I say? Sometimes you have to make yourself do things you don't want to do, and actually you end up with a smile on your face. Interesting. But you know what? People often say to me, how do you cope? Why do you have such a positive outlook? They think it's remarkable that I can sit here and talk about my situation and still have a smile on my face and talk so positively. And I'd say, they think, is that because you're a really positive person? And I'll go, no, not really. I've just had a lot of practice. And it's the practice that I think is the important thing to get out of this for everybody, really. It's like, this is a character building situation for everybody. I've been made redundant 3 or 4 times. I've lost count. And then I've had cancer 4 times. I've had chemotherapy, 2 stem cell transplants. Over the last 20 years, it's been a bumpy ride. So I've had a lot of practice with patience, perseverance, mental strength, positivity, keeping one step at a time, focusing on the positives, and all those kind of things. And it's a kind of discipline. And what I would say is that I came across this quote, and I'll finish with this because I've gone on long enough. This is from Phillips Brooks. He said, "Someday, in years to come, you'll be wrestling with the great temptation or trembling under the great sorrow of your life, but the real struggle is here, now. Now it's been decided whether in the day of your supreme sorrow or temptation you shall miserably fail or gloriously conquer. Character cannot be made except by a steady, long, continued process." So if you're thinking this is a hard time, treat it as a training program. Treat it as character building. Treat it as a way of learning how to respond to these difficult times, because you don't know what's around the corner. It's great practice for that next challenge in your life, and you don't know what that's going to be.